we are, bottom of the Smash Mountain. This is brought to you by the people. Thank you so much to anyone who may or may not have subbed to the Patreon. I try to keep that on the DL, but I'm so pleased to be joined by our guest. We have Speedy Sloth, who you would have seen commentating top 16 with Dark Gen X at Super Smash Con Fall Fest this past weekend. Sloth, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome to be here. It's funny, actually. So I commentated pools with Dark Gen X, but he was supposed to commentate with me,
No.
but I ended up commentating because he made top 16. So I commentated with Stelios, who was just there for production, actually. He did a really great job, though.
Sag, I thought Stelios and you were commentating in pools. I got that switched around. That's my bad.
Yeah.
That's
No,
totally on
no,
me.
you're good.
I didn't watch the live broadcast. Can you tell?
Just a little bit.
That seems pretty crucial in bringing on the guests. But this has actually been a long time coming because you and I are part of the Waltiverse. We are active contributors to the Turn Down for Walt Discord, which is a great place. If anybody's interested, I can send you a link, or Sloth can send you a link if you just DM us on Twitter. But we've talked about doing this for a little while. And when I heard that you were going to be commentating, well, first of all, you told us you were going to be putting in your hat and throwing your name in the ring. And so we were all excited about that. And then you said, well, through the announcement that you were actually going to be commentating Melee. We were all very excited for you. So I think this is a great way to sort of introduce you, talking about your origin story through this past weekend, kind of leading up to the probably one of the higher peaks for you. It's so cool to see you commentate in such a high profile event, even if, we should get at least this part out of the way. I think this will be a good spot to start with, because there was a great tweet from Jojo SSBM who was saying, there's not really a whole lot of excuses that I'm giving top players for not attending their locals. And I might give a pass to somebody like Mango or Leffen, but otherwise I want to see these top players go to these locals. And of course, people like Ryobeater and Deer are very quick to jump in and be like, yes, we want to see top players at our locals. Woo! And it's so true. On the other hand, I guess I understand kind of where somebody comes from, where they say, nah, I don't really want to do that, because I've only gone to 2 locals myself and I'm not a top player. If I have that lazy streak already, just imagine me doing anything at all with the game, with Melee as a player. Yeesh, I don't know if I want to see that part of myself just yet. So it'll take me a while. I want to hear your take on this, though. You've already shared it on Twitter, but you can expand, excuse me.
So I mentioned, like, my point was, like, in terms of the community as a whole, like, what is the backbone? I feel like it is those top mid-level players that are really going to be showing up at your locals at every regional they can. They're driving in, they're trying to get as much practice. They're really the guys that aren't so big that, you go up, you send them a DM or whatever, they're always going to get back to you. I DM'd pretty much like a bunch of people looking for like small interviews before my block. And most of the guys I went up to, like short jersey, like PR'd in Jersey, obviously very good. A lot of them making like top 16 and whatnot, but not someone who's going to be, streaming and whatnot, getting like a bunch of viewers, not going to be making more money than if they tried to compete. And the thing with that is I kind of get it, like a little bit, but it is interesting to tell where the line is. I feel like as a competitor, you really do want to go like and enter every event, but at the same time, especially for Melee, right now, there's not a lot of incentive, to be honest, to go to these, like, because it wasn't a regional. There was capacity for it to be. I think a lot of people will use the 3 out of the top 7-ish, 3 out of top 7, 5-ish as like major like potential. And that's why I'd say like Riptide was a major, but like low tier city, and this wasn't. But Zane was Leffen was HBox and Wizzy were both supposed to go. And Swedish as well, who I'm very sad he didn't come out, but that was probably the most unfortunate one. I would like to see him on LAN. I know he went to a couple Jersey weeklies and like cleaned house, which is really funny to see. But the thing is like I know
Poor Polish.
apparently poor Polish.
Sorry, continue. Sorry. You got it.
Yeah, no. It's kind of like the meme of like the galaxy brain, from like the small brain to the galaxy brain. It's like attending a tournament and competing. It's like not attending a tournament and not competing, not attending a tournament and streaming, attending a tournament and not competing, and then attending a tournament and streaming. Because that's what HBox did. He was at the venue, I believe, but he didn't enter because he obviously would make more money streaming and playing in the Nick the Ludwig thing,
Yeah.
which was like $20,000, which was, I mean, we talk about like the amount of money that Game Mill put up for the Nick brawl, literally double that for not 2 days of grueling melee where you have to play play people that might potentially beat you. You don't have to get up at 10:30 for pools. You don't have to do blah 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 blah. You can just sit back and play this game you've never played, before that, no one's really that good at yet. It's been out for like 2 weeks and you get to play one game, and then if you win you get $2,000. Who wouldn't take that deal? I wouldn't take that. I would take that deal, especially if
Yeah.
everyone else is going out. Like, why would you? Because let's say even if you win, oh cool, he beat up all these like random PR players. Of course he was gonna win, and you get like not that much money. But if you lose, you have the potentially to people to like shit talk you and whatnot, and you don't want that. Obviously, like HBox is someone who I actually deeply respect that for. Like even throughout 2019, he like will go to like a lot of events, and that's always been something that I will like respect the hell out of him for. But yeah, that's kind of my position of just like I would love to see more people, but in a sense, it was kind of it felt more like a like a mid-Atlantic Arcadian almost. Like the only top 100 players there were
Poor Polish.
I know, but Polish has been top 100. Yes, he has. Essie and I think that's it. 2 players. One got first, one didn't make top 16. So that was pretty interesting.
Okay,
But
Logan is obviously a top 100 player, but
yes, but like I
they
guess
didn't
like
play each other. I guess Polish
ranked,
and Logan didn't play each
obviously.
other.
Yeah.
That's
But in
great.
terms of previously ranked, obviously there was people who were considered top 100.
Logan's never going to be ranked at this rate.
No, man. I literally okay. I'm not gonna. Share. I talked to him like a little bit because he was there, and I love Logan so much. Actually, we commentated. That was like actually, I guess this comes back to like that was really my first like big block. Was like actually with Logan at Glint Melee Summer Open. So and he's cool, man. People are like talking mess about him about oh yeah talking shit. I forget, man. he was talking shit about him like because he was acting confident. Oh, this region is free, and then he like busters out, which like if Mango did it, then it's like oh it's so cool. But if Logan does it, it's like people like shit talking. Oh, you can't be like you can't shit talk and then lose. But it's like so at least
It
he fucking
happens.
attended.
Yeah.
At least he fucking attended. That's what I was saying. It's like these people, these like top players, you look at it like I understand why, but how can you go and say you went and you shit talked and you went out and you didn't do so well? Well, at least he attended. Like you have to respect him for at least going out, driving up all the way from North Carolina. That's a long ass drive, and going out and playing some goddamn melee. So if you're like shit talking Logan, fuck you. That's what.
Logan is a friend of the program, so I'm a big supporter.
Let's go.
I would love to see some success in Smash World Tour Championships and main stage and that sort of those sort of places, but it is going to be very competitive when we get to that point of the timeline. But okay, we covered some things. We're going to have to press pause on Super Smash Con and start more towards the beginning
Yes.
for you. How did you get into Melee?
Okay, that is a pretty interesting question. So the short answer is my friend. The long answer is what I'm about to say, which is that he started playing in about 2017, I would say, maybe 2016, like second generation dot kid, I guess. But like if you saw him, he's my age. So we went to middle school together. So he's been playing since he was in middle school. So essentially, like the time he started playing is like, like how old Nun is right now. So he started playing like Doc and like Sheik and Marth and like a little bit of Marth, but now he plays Sheik. And he slowly got me into it. Like it was, seeing him play on like, cause he'd go to JHU, Johns Hopkins tournament. So I know a bunch of those guys who are super cool. Shout outs to Solo and Kush and Mayfer and Nate. And I'm going to forget a couple and people are going to be mad at me, but shout outs to those guys.
Almost
And
made it. You know who you are.
I be like, "Do you have me? How'd you forget me, man?" I'm like, "I'm sorry." Okay, but and so I'd see him like play on stream or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, "Okay," and I watch a little bit of Melee content, and like I would, but it was really for me. I like played on Anthers and whatnot, like old net play with him. Like his tag is Vita or Vita. It's Vita because it's vitamins Vita, and he would like and we just play and it slowly get into like okay, I go into JHU tournaments, and then where it really hit me was Big House. That was the first major I watched, Big House 9, because Winter 2019 was when I first started
Ooh,
going into things. And yeah, so
what a
I didn't
tournament.
really. Oh my god, dude, that for me is the greatest grand finals of all time. The Sun 11 was amazing, and I think is more of a like I don't know how to say it, like a more they're both amazing in their own ways.
Yeah,
I feel like they're both like reflections of each other, but they're so amazing. Honestly, this is probably going to be a little controversial. I like the comms on Big House 9 better. Just a little bit. Like I love WAF to death,
because
especially that
it's just
last.
two. You mean?
Yeah, it just felt a little crowded. And even though it's definitely like super hype, I feel like you give Scar and Toph, like they're going to create magic, and which they do every time. Dude, there's so many calls and that set that is amazing. I, it's like you hear like a radio call, like a basketball game. It's
Yeah.
like oh, bam, what a shot for Curry, something like that. I hear it's like Randall, where did you come from? And it's like that, and that was really like that was where it bit me. Um, and more of a spectator then, and that was like throughout 2020, like throughout COVID, I was being like a little bit of a player. Obviously, Slippy is like I got into it a little bit as a competitor,
Yeah.
and then as a spectator, that was really when it started. In terms of like getting into Melee, because I would consider myself less as a competitor and more of like everything else, obviously, like a commentator and whatnot. I got to my first thing was there's this how should I say this, intercollegiate Slippy. So it
Ooh,
is
shout outs.
yes, shout out to intercollegiate Slippy, shout out to Lucky. I'm going to talk about him a little bit, but he ran this. So if you know the Melee games, who are hosted by Matt.Zeb, they are
Oh yes.
collegiate. Yes, so it is not affiliated, but it is it is very similar to that, but it was obviously hosted on NetPlay. But they're crew battles, they're collegiate and whatnot, and we ran a circuit. I was a volunteer. Most of my volunteering, I ran a couple streams, which I was okay at. Not really. I mean, it's running streams is like very difficult. I feel like running like one or two of them, I'm like so it is very like tiring experience. And so shout out to all the stream runners out there, know what it's like. Um, and I mostly was doing commentating and just general helping with scheduling and whatnot. And that was where I first really got into stuff because slightly before. Okay, that's actually kind of wrong because the first really thing was kind of is there was a weekly called LRA Start, which is on Wednesdays. It was an online weekly, and I helped TO for that, and that was like the thing beforehand. But that was like my first step, and then it was the Icy Slippy. And then I did that for a while. That was like all of winter. And then after that, I took a little break, like from doing a couple things. Like spring was kind of a little slow for me, but actually August was like when I started because I had commentated because a lot of really great commentators have come through and done stuff for IC Slippy. Waltz actually did a block, which is crazy. That was really awesome. I didn't get to commentate with him, but it's whatever. It's fine.
Do be that way sometimes.
Yeah. But I did get to commentate with Hey Hada and Nathan Sandwich, which are so super homies. I love those two so much. Cause like for me as like a cause I'm the same age. I'm, still like 17, but I was definitely felt a lot more newer to the scene, and for them to both talk to me and just like chat about whatever. Like literally, I had a call with like Nation Sandwich for like 2 hours, and we just like chatted about melee stuff because he is someone who is nutty. He is he's NorCal. He's a Falcon. He's good at Falcons.
Oh
He's
yeah.
very, very good. He's very good. He is a seeder in TO for both the like a bunch of stuff, a bunch of Rona Rumbles. Essentially, he is like the main seeder for Rona Rumble. All of that stuff, that's all him. Like you think of Jada and Waff, he is like the not the third wheel, but like he's one that I think gets a little bit underappreciated. And also, he's a commentator. He's a good ass commentator too. That
And a
was really
friend of the
great to talk
program.
to him, and a friend of the program. You know who else I think has gone on is Hey Hada. That was the other one.
I haven't had
Um,
Hey Hada on yet,
oh, okay,
but
you
Nathan
definitely
Sandwich is
should.
a friend of the program, and Nathan Sandwich also will be running the bracket for Genesis 8 for Melee.
Yes, yes, that was another thing. So he's like moving up the ranks in terms of NorCal TOs, which is really sick to see. And Hey Hada is someone that I've actually gotten commentary coaching from, which is awesome. So he's talked to me about a couple different things. Like I was just starting. It was talking like knowing when to talk, knowing when to interrupt your partner. For me right now, it's filler words. That's something that's I think a lot of commentators struggle with.
Oh yeah,
If you see I'm talking right now, the the whatnot, and that's something that you really have to. That's partly nerves though, because you
yeah.
have to realize that you are okay with silence. You have to be okay with silence as a commentator. You have to know that like it is okay. You look at like Waff, Phil, Wizzy HBox 2017, the Yahoo event Smash Rivalries, that grand finals, like there was a lot of like silence, and it works totally because it's a lot of tension building. And it's funny, they're like whispering the whole time. It's a great block. It's like a must watch. It's like, okay, gets grab. Oh, is Wizzy gonna take it? It's
It's
very
like
funny
golf
for like
Melee.
yeah. It's so funny for like Waff, who you hear for like screaming. It's like even Phil is like at the last game. Okay, I'm leaving, guys. I think HBox takes it. He has this. He has this. Oh, you leaving? Oh, you're not watching? It's a great set. But anyway, yeah, that's a lot of the things for me. So those are really getting into it, and because of that, Glint Melee Summer Open, who we mentioned. I don't know if he's a
Mm-hmm.
friend
Love
of the
dear.
show. Yes,
Yes,
friend of the
friend of the
show.
show.
I don't know who's a friend and who's like not a friend of the show
No
yet.
worries. I should be the one remembering that.
True. So I got like because Nathan like know him, so I had a connection there, and I got a spot doing with Logan, which I mentioned. So we commentated grand finals of a like a rerun of the local, and that was super
Yep.
fun. So because it was first time Logan's commentated since again he did some comms at
Summit.
Summit,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
really
Mm-hmm.
cool. So yeah, so that was really fun to do with him. And then after that, the big one for me and what I've been doing, probably most people know my comms from that isn't like SmashCon, would be Training Mode Tuesdays. So that's been super duper fun with
Yeah.
both with Kadoran. That's the main one because initially I was like asking people, I was like, oh, I'd love to do more locals and whatnot. Cause after thing, it's like kind of hard to find. And it was like East Coast Fridays. And they're like, oh, we're kind of filled. And then I asked like Iggy, who is like TO stream runner, and he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll get you on West Coast, and you're with this." And initially, I commentated, and I got to get with Kadoran, which is super nice. And instantly from like starting, we kind of knew we had a great like I guess chemistry
There you
because I feel
go.
like I'm more the hype guy, which is a great way of saying that I know a lot. I'm loud and I don't know anything about melee, so I'm essentially your like locals type of yeah.
Yo!
Oh, yeah. But and he is obviously extremely analytical, which is really great. And I think we have a good connection, and not connect, but chemistry. So that was
Yeah,
really great
yeah.
to do.
And if you ever want your
And
brain to melt, just watch a Kadoran video.
oh, I yes, shout out to Kadoran though.
Super knowledgeable about melee.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. I love that seeing on comms people have like compared him to Azim, which is really great. Like if Azim kept competing, which I love that comparison so much. But yeah, that was like the big thing for me before getting onto Thing. And then I was like, I applied for comms at Riptide, which I didn't really think I was going to get. That was like a long shot because I was initially going to go, but something came up. But then I was able to go to SmashCon, which is sick. SmashCon was awesome. I literally just DM'd Nintendo. I was like, "Hey, are you guys looking for like, hey, this is my resume. Here are some clips of me and whatnot. Are you looking for commentators?" And he was like, "Oh, I'll pass it around to the staff." And then I like told the Walt, and Walt was like, "Oh, here's the guy that you're probably going to want to talk to specifically." And then I DM'd him like the same thing, and it was funny because he responded like, "Okay, you have to sell me now." So I had to like sell myself about it. So I had to like get the gig, and I ended up doing it. I was kind of like, "Oh, I'm young, I'm like a slippy kid, I have the knowledge, I
The
have a
eye of
lot
the
of
tiger.
experience at the eye of the tiger. I'm passionate," which I would say I'm pretty passionate, and a lot of stuff like that, and I have experience at the top level with a lot of cool commentators, and I ended up getting it. I mean, it was so super fun. So actually going to SmashCon, I guess I should talk about like the experience in general now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So the venue was like an hour and 15 minutes away from me, an hour and 20 minutes.
Right, because you're
So
MDVA.
yes, I am. So I'm just north of Baltimore. So I was essentially just like I was going to be like, "Oh, I'll drive up, I'll drive down" initially. But then I realized, "Oh shit, I have a 10:30 thing. I can't." Luckily, a homie, super homie, I ended up staying with him. We like he let me crash on like the floor of his hotel room, which is sick. So shout outs to B Bats for doing that, Jersey
Friend of the
Beach. Who's
program.
also a friend of the program.
Wow, you're nailing it right
Everyone's a
now.
friend of, oh yeah, definitely. Oh, I'm so good at this. Uh, and yeah, so but that was just Saturday night. So Friday night, I went there. I I commentated, and because what I was trying to do was, so I get there, right? I don't eat because I am there. I go to school in the morning because it's Friday. I'm in high school, which is another thing. People are like, "Oh my god, you're in high school." It's like I am only 4 years older than that original kid. I would like it. I am only 4 years older than him, which is like, I know, right?
You do so much
I look
growing
at
in your
it.
teens. You do. You do.
I know. I have such a deep and very professional sounding voice,
Oh,
and
come on. I would have guessed. I would have guessed you were late teens. Honestly, if somebody
yeah,
looks at
yeah.
you like you're 14, that's such a mean thing for them to say to you.
I do have a baby face, but I don't think anyone's like really been like. But everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're in high school," and that's kind of
All
been
you
the
got to
thing.
do is hear you talk. I'm sorry. I don't get it. For the people who think that you're younger,
Yeah,
I don't get it.
yeah. But so essentially, I I literally because I get out of school, I do first period, I'm out at 10, I stop and get some things, I 11, so it gets me 11, I'm there at like 12:30. I get into the venue at like 1. because of registration and everything like that. Because obviously everyone's there in the line because it opened at noon, and like I'm total like wide eyed. Oh my god, I'm in this place. I'm looking around, and I had to do like 10 interviews with people, and I was like looking around for people, so I didn't really get to do what I should have done, which is play Nick Brawl for like 4 hours. So I was more familiar with the game because I had a block with it, and I was doing these interviews, and I only had time for like to play friendlies for 30 minutes is a thing. So I wasn't fully refreshed on the game, and you could tell I was super nerved on that block with Mr. Binready, who is a sick commentator who actually MC'd top 8, which is great.
Ooh.
He was sick. Yeah, he was the MC. People started clapping to the Dreamland theme. He was like, "Shut up, stop doing that. I didn't survive COVID to hear you guys do that." That was very funny.
Axis,
And
I will get kicked out of your tournaments for clapping to Dreamland, by the way, just to let you know.
so that was he was doing a really great job, and I was nervous. I wasn't very like comfortable with it yet, and another thing was, so it's hard to imagine, but like the ult thing, they had two like tablets. One of them was for like for replays. You can like draw on them like they have in football, which like we
Ooh.
never used. Like because there's look, I don't want to be mean to production, but like we are not going to use them. Like especially for like a no never time I'm gonna be looking and I'm be like looking at a replay and like fast forwarding. Look at him, the spacing. Like I don't need to draw to show that. Like I don't know. It's a 2D game. It's not a 3D game. If I say, oh look at the spacing, everyone's can like see it's the spacing. Use lines because if it's like you're filming a 3D game, so you can like simplify it to 2 dimensions for
Have
people.
have so
And
many
it's like
ideas for drawing. They should have had me do the drawing thing.
I know it was so that was one thing, and that was on his side. On my side, we did the transitions to like ads and whatnot. So for glitch, all that stuff, and we had to know is because there was a thing on the top left of like the screen I was looking at. It said next up this slide, and you have to click it is a thing, and that was my job to click it, and I was so not ready because I was like, okay, I have to watch, I have to be, because you get very locked in when you're on commentary. You're very narrow focused, and that's what I do. I very get like tunnel vision, and so I was not ready when they were like up there and they were cutting back to the commentators. And one time, Mr. Benready, like he had to reach over me and like, okay, we're just gonna go to that and click on the thing, which is like, oh, and that's yeah, it was just not super great. And I'm not. I would say most me and Mr. Benry kind of have similar style, so we are both a little bit like Like we would both say that we're both like for entertainment more than like analytics. I mean, it's hard to analyze like a set like that, like a game that's just came out, but still, it. I mean, I just don't think I was doing super well, and that was pretty demoralizing. But I kind of got over it. I was like, it's day one. I even talked. Mr. Benmurray was like, you would kind of expect that to be like kind of like shit, because like a shit like a not great block, because it's like it's day one, it's Friday, it's like pools of like a game we neither of us are commentated before, and it was just like yeah, it was still good though. I wasn't like super nervous or anything. I don't. Um, but either way, so like I get my hit in the game. I come back and then this is my Dark Genix, and I would say it was probably my best block. That was very fun. Dark Genix is he's I would say like up there in terms of like smartest like brains, like people brains in Melee, and it was really great to because I love for me, I think commentary is less about talking to the audience. You have to be talking to your commentator, to be honest. That's why I love like if I'm in IRL, I will mostly be looking at my commentator, because you really, for me, it's like I love picking their brains, because that's what I'm trying to do, because that's what people know. It's just knowing the right questions to ask. You'll see there's a specific instance that's like the most obvious version. It's Scar and Toph, Genesis 4, loser semis, Mango Leffen, which is another amazing set. It's like a 15-minute. If you're like, I want to watch a melee set, I've never like,
It's a
I want to
great
get into
one.
melee. It is like a 15-minute. It's a quick, snappy game 5, so fast set. It is amazing. Where like half the time Toph is like going, who's Bob Money? Like he forgets Bob Money's name for like half the set, and it's like, it's a very great set. But literally, Scar goes and he's like, oh my god, tell me what just happened. And it's like that kind of thing. So that was really great, especially because he both has an Ices and knows a lot about him, and there's a lot of Ices in the bracket, and it's very hard. Ices is a weird character to know like about, and I don't know a lot, so he was good, like a knowledgeable source for me, and that was just like a super fun block. And then that night was very cool as well because I was just watching and whatnot. I ended up also recording some sets like off stream. I recorded Essie versus Slug and Dawson versus Nintendo, both of which were super sick sets. I'm going to talk about Essie versus Slug. Excuse me. I'm going to talk about Dawson versus Nintendo first. So I don't want to like stream, but they they had played and apparently went to game 5 last stock, Marth, Puff, and I interviewed Nintendo beforehand, and he was like, yeah, I just entered because Hugs DQ'd, and Melee Stats, who does the seeding, was like, oh, I'll just you can just like take his seed, take his spot, so we don't have to change the pools. And that's what he ended up doing. So I mean, I don't think he
Nice.
was horribly like overseeded or anything. I think he was seeded to beat Dawson, which I wouldn't like personally have done, but he was like, I feel like I kind of play better when I TO because I don't like have the pressure of just competing, which I kind of get for him. Like not that he was like, oh, not that I autopilot, but it's like there's no pressure for me. I don't have the pressure of like, oh, I have to. So he ends up they playing. This is like winners top 64. Game 1, Marth Puff Battlefield. Nintendo gets like 2 stock. He goes ices in that matchup, which is like not something you would expect. But he said like my Marth is much harder to warm up because he's been playing the character Ices for 10 years.
Oh
So he's
yeah.
like, oh, it's much easier to how I feel. They go Yoshi's, he wins on Yoshi's game 2. Game 3, Dreamland and Dawson. I don't want to say he camps him, but he's it's
He does what
Dreamland.
he has to do.
It's Dreamland, right? And then they go to I want to say FOD, and then there's like even like like not last stock, but like he goes up, he gets Nana, Dawson like kills Nintendo, he's up a full stock, and he gets like a really low percent up tilt refs, and he pops off. He gets up, he's like yes, and you could tell it was very fun. Like you could hear it a little bit on camera, and that was a very sick set to watch. The other one was really awesome. So Essie versus Slug, this is to get into top 16. This is a very important set. To be honest, I think Essie, who was not seeded to get top 16, I think she would have gone, and I think she would have made top 8, to be honest, if she won that set. Because she had JJM, and who I think is a like worse versus Fox than Slug, to be honest. Like Slug beat Darkgenix, and Darkgenix is really good at that matchup.
Hmm.
So the reason why she was so underseeded is because okay, you guys probably is on like, who the fuck is Essie? Essie is changed their name, Cal. That's Cal. Top 100 Midwest player, has multiple wins on like a bunch of Midwest talent like Dreffin and
Poor Dreffin.
Free Palestine. Yeah, no, a bunch of Midwest talent. Like the real thing, like if you think of a Midwest player, she's probably beaten them. But then she kind of took a break. And then she's coming back and she changed characters, but either she didn't want to play the Ditto or whatever, and then she went Fox, and it was like she was playing really really well. Game 1, she kind of got a little bit like tossed. Same thing with game 2. That's when I started filming, was game 2. Game 3, they go back to Yoshi. She wins pretty like a stock up. And this time, and there's it's fun to mention there are 5 guys from Philly who are all cheering on Slug, right? And they're all, let's go Slug, let's go. And I get there and I'm like, I want to cheer for Essie. I love older players who come back. I love underdogs, and it's like it's very fun to cheer for her. And I was like, let's go SE. And then it was like, I feel like she was like playing to it, like, not that it'd be like, she did it for me. That's not what I'm saying. But I think she got like some energy. She came back like on FD that third game. She was playing really good. She was like super fast, like Shine Spikes on Nana. It was a crazy game to watch. And then game 5, they go back. It's last stock, and she gets come back on by Sopo, game 5 on FT, and it was like, oh, but it was a really great set to watch. It was very fun talking to her too. So shout outs to Essie. But yeah, so that was my top 64, just like watching it and whatnot. And then after, I ended up getting some dinner with some New Jersey guys, which is very sick. And then next day, I commentated. I mentioned like Dark Genix was supposed to, but I commentated with Stelios for top 16. And Stelios is just a production guy. He was just there to run stream, who is commentates not New Jersey, New England local. So he's also familiar with he was very well versed in a lot of knowledge, which I liked a lot, because Trail is up there who plays Ices, and so he knows a lot about stuff he was talking about that. And it was very nice to have that and not be like, oh, what the fuck is this character? And that kind of thing. But that was also a really cool block. And yeah, and that was it. I watched top 8. I was sitting next to the Crack Shack guys, so like Haas and oh god, I'm gonna forget his name. It's 4 numbers. It's like ENTJ. It's some like the personality test. It's something like that. It sounds like that. And like I was like I was acting like I was rooting for like MDVA when I was secretly rooting for No Fluxus. I just like Ganon, man, and I like villains. Okay, so it was fun to like watching top 8 was also super fun. So yeah, that was it. It was kind of like very surreal. I was trying very very hard the whole time not to fanboy, which is very tough because it was like not just my first like ever time commentating like a regional. It was my first regional. The only events I've gone to were JHU weeklies, Xanadu's, and this. So I mean, yeah, that was that. It was just kind of a crazy time.
Did you compete in bracket, or did you just strictly staying on commentary?
So yeah, so I was trying to skip over that.
Oh no,
But you don't. I mean, I went 0-2. I'm not good. I'm.
poor Sloth.
I. Yeah, I mean, it was whatever. I was playing Nick Brawl, and I was feeling bad about it because like literally like you get off, and it's kind of like how you like. I know competitors will say like after losing and winners, you kind of have to take a second. I literally couldn't. Like instantly after my block, I had to run over and play like in pools for Nick Brawl, and I was like, I got beat by the guy I was playing friendlies with for 30 minutes when we were going even, and I lost last stock both games. And then I was like, can you DQ me out of losers? I really just want to like, I'm so tired. I just want to go home. So yeah, that for Nick Brawl. And then for Melee, I just got 102. I just faced 2 foxes who were like okay, but didn't know the matchup, and I just kind of choked. But I mean, not choked. I mean, they weren't really that close. I'm not that good, but I didn't
Hey,
really
same
have a
here.
chance. Let's go. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't really going there to compete anyways, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. And so that like I'm interested to hear what exactly drew you to commentary as compared to playing. Is it because you see the path that it takes to get to the top and you go, that's really long. That's going to take a lot of work. Commentating, meanwhile, not so much. And I can just gab and it's fun. Like there's no pressure except for talking to people and running stream and
Yeah,
clicking on the slides. I mean, that could be pressure, but it's not like, getting beat by an ICs and being told,
yeah,
yeah, I don't need to have wobbling to beat you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that makes you feel
Okay.
bad.
I would, I would actually say it's not that at all. I was just never really, I would never really consider myself like I love Melee. I love the game. I play on unranked all the time. I love playing friendlies. But as a competitive, it's not really something I'm super put like a ton of energy into. I did for a little bit, but it was I do consume like other competitive things. I was close to getting top 300 like time trials, Mario Kart 64. I did Mario Kart 8, like speedrunning stuff like that, and like I've done other speedrunning stuff, but it's just not something I really feel super like invested in doing. I've always felt myself like more better at like racing games in terms of like what I feel I'm naturally good at, and just like I've always like I also wanted like do it for a job too. And that's part of it of like I want to go into the scene and work at an esports organization, do commentary or analysis or something like that. And that was really getting into part of it. And also, it's something I like talking. I've you know done acting, which I don't really do anymore, but like debate and speech and stuff like that. And I just like talking. I think I have a good voice. I used to hate my voice, but then like my balls dropped, and now I have a good voice. So um, and I just like talking about stuff. Obviously, I've been talking like this whole time, but I think I just like doing commentary. It's just fun. It's just very fun. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not pressure. I was actually talking to this about like a competitor, and because we both kind of like had a sucky first day, and he was like, well, if you lose, you don't have to, you're not doing, blah blah blah. You don't get like, you don't feel bad or whatever. And I'm like, if I don't do well, you if you don't do well as a player, you don't you don't get barred from entry for the next tournament. You can always go to another tournament. That's not something
Yep.
for me. If I shit myself at my first like real comment like thing, I'm not going to get any more gigs. It is not something I wouldn't say if I didn't do super well, I wasn't going to ever commentate again, but this is like a really huge opportunity, and I need to prove that I belong there. So it's like, I'm not trying to be like I get players, but that kind of thing of like, oh, it's just fun and it's whatever. It's something you do for fun. It's like, there is pressure there. Um so that kind of idea of like that, no, I would refute that.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you were saying earlier, it's not just talking. You actually have to do stuff that's related to running a stream on occasion.
Hmm.
And I guess for these higher profile commentary gigs, yeah, there's also like somebody in your ear. I don't know how true that is within Melee
Yes.
specifically, but I can't imagine if I would be trying to talk and somebody would be talking in my ear at the same time. I'd be like, just rip
Yeah.
off.
No. No. I mean,
Like,
it
I'm
it
not doing this.
it is like that. So that was kind of actually what Ultimate was trying not to do. I mean, there's people in your ear, like, even when I'm commentating a local. Like, you wouldn't think about it, but you're just in a Discord call, and if you can imagine, like, we were commentating, there's another guy running stream, and like he will sometimes his mic isn't on call, but he'll sometimes say, "Oh, next up we're getting this and this," and he's not he's not constantly talking. He's only being like, and that's what you would say, and that's natural. So you'd be like talking with, and then you end to say, and then you hear like in your ear like glitch slide next, or like metafy slide or smash roll tour, and then you just do that. It's not something where it's like specifically talking in your ear. It was just for me the the actual like touching on stuff was like, because that more you have to be a bit more disengaged in the match, but that was but yeah, I mean, it is like it's not just fun and games. Anyone who's tried commentary will tell you that.
I did. I got to do a little bit of commentary at the local that I went to on Saturday. So let me let me take some room on my own show and talk about my local for a little bit. I've gone to one local before this past Saturday. That was back in June when everybody had gotten their vaccines. We're all freshly vaxxed up. Well,
Mm-hmm.
post 2 weeks, you get it.
Yep.
And we all have this fun local, and we're all very excited. But it was at the tournament organizer's house, so it's just a house fest. And we're all saying,
Mhm.
okay, when's the weekly coming back? And he says, we have to get a venue first. And it took all summer. So
Mm.
this past weekend on Super Smash Con weekend, which is unfortunate, but I wanted to go to this local. So I was fully expecting to go 0-2 again, like I had last time, because back in June I got washed pretty badly, and
Mm.
it was tough because I wanted to get to know people, but it was just for one afternoon. I was already in the Discord with most
Mm.
of them, but it was just like, oh, who are you again? What's your name again? And it's just
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
whole thing. There was a little bit less of that on Saturday. There were a couple of Slippy kids there. And so I
Mhm.
said to myself, if I meet one of them in losers, then maybe I could do something. I don't know,
Mhm.
but hopefully I won't get washed by Slippy kids. And it's true. Certain Slippy kids will wash you. Somebody from Chicago, Tio from Chicago during Reptide or low tide city, excuse me,
I think I
tweeted
know
out
what you're
something to the
gonna
effect of,
mention. Yeah, yeah.
hey, I saw somebody teach a Slippy kid how to strike stages, and then the Slippy kid beat
And
him.
then he beat him. Yep.
But thankfully for me, when I went down to the losers after getting washed on stream by Mary, who ended up winning the tournament, I played
Mhm.
against Drew, and I was able to take that set. So I won my first melee set against somebody
Go.
who is gonna probably be better than me in a short amount of time, younger, faster hands or
Yeah.
reflexes, whatever. But we take those, and
Mhm.
I'm actually going to be having him over tomorrow night. So we're talking on Monday. This will come out after this happens, but Tuesday night is when I'm inviting him over, or I'm going over to his, something like that, to just play friendlies, do a couple of try hard sets, that kind of thing. Just have a good
Mm.
session, because my computer can do Slippy, but when I played somebody an hour away, it was 40 ping, and I'm going, that's probably my computer. It's like, that's way too much ping for an
Yeah.
hour away drive Slippy connection. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's got to be me. And it didn't feel super great, but playing, yeah. And this is not a criticism of Slippy itself. It's just a
Mhm.
criticism of my stupid laptop, which is technically working now. So don't fail me now. But still, I am very excited to continue to play in the locals and have over people here and again, that now and
Mhm.
again kind of thing, and just get in some sessions, because I think that's what's going to really help me. I don't get to play a lot when I'm not motivated to, and I'm more
Mm.
motivated to when I have somebody to play. So
Right.
that's how I'll get better. And I want to focus on competing for the time being. I don't want to focus too much on content. Like, I wanted to do interviews and such on Saturday, but I was like, ugh, I won't get to play friendlies. So
Yeah.
I just went and I competed and I played lots of friendlies. It was really fun.
Mm. Yeah, no, that it was kind of like with me, like Friday, I wish I would have like chilled. Like I shouldn't have presented it like interviews. Like I wanted to be like prepared, but I could have just went up to them and asked like, "Oh, hey, like what's up? Like how are you feeling?" Like, "Oh yeah, I'm just doing commentary. Just want to like let you know." Cuz I like TNM before I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing an interview," which it should I shouldn't have made it that formal, which it really wasn't. It was like, but yeah. Is there something okay, can I bring up a subject? Is
Yes.
it like, cuz I know okay. Okay, so this is something that I actually this delves into a little bit of another part that I've been doing. They're talking about the analytics. Actually, I was a part of Team Pulse, which is for
Did
like
you
a
say you
little bit.
were?
I was
No, don't say it,
as a
Sloth.
yeah, unfortunate. They well, I wasn't doing that much to be honest. I wrote
Oh,
up some game plans and what. I'm not trying to say like I it was just like it wasn't the right fit. To be honest. Like for them as an upstart, they can't afford to really have like a new person to like essentially internship. Like I would really want to go to like Panda who have people who are like already doing the things that I do to like,
Panda
you
is
know,
doing stuff, by the way.
I know I did see that.
Yeah, you should apply if you can.
I yes, I'm still in school right now, but I
Oh
do
yeah.
hope to do something like that. Yes. Um, no, it's fine. But
Ah.
anyway, the main thing for me was the recent like main discovery I've done was realizing that openings per kill is a lie. It's not a lie, but it's very flawed.
I
So
I think a lot of people put a lot, like, they just put so much stock into it.
Mm. I it is as a stat I, on not on paper. In theory, it's a good. It's good. It is good to try and boil down how efficiently people take stocks, which is what I believe the stat is trying to accomplish. But it doesn't. It is flawed because in almost most sets, it should be independent of whether you win or lose. You can be more efficient and less efficient and lose or win. I mean, there's some obviously correlation, but there's obviously like a Ganon might have much less openings per kill than someone who's gonna a Marth or something like that who just doesn't punish the Ganon that hard. I mean, they punish it hard, but like Ganon, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Floating matchups, like it's almost something
Yes.
you can throw out the window. Because like it really is more of like it's either like a
Right.
Marth versus a fast faller or fast faller versus fast faller. That makes more
Mhm.
sense because the combos are that's gonna happen more naturally. But then when it's Peach versus Puff or Icy's versus
Mm.
Puff, like it just you can throw that out of the window. I feel like.
I would disagree. I still think OPK is like when you're comparing the two is interesting. Obviously, it is like very much character based. Like obviously, like you said in floating matchups, it's going to be much higher. But still, comparing which the floaty can punish the harder is a very interesting. It is a good stat to show. Obviously, it's probably like how many neutral ones they're getting might be more important, but it is still like that in combination is the thing. The way I'd like to describe how wide is flawed and how I attempted to fix it is imagine like it's a hot dog eating contest. You're playing it's a 1v1 hot dog eating
Mm,
contest. And you're trying to say how efficiently do you eat these hot dogs, right? Because it is who can eat 4 hot dogs first. Because really that's melee. Who can take 4 stocks first, right?
mm-hmm.
Because there's four
For
hot
hot
dogs
dogs.
each person's. Yes. And you're trying to say I know this is not how competitive eaters like eat, but imagine like you're trying to track how many bites it takes. Sometimes it takes you 3 bites. 1, 2, 3. Sometimes it takes you 2 bites. Sometimes it makes you 12 bites or whatever. Sometimes you take 1 bite and then someone grabs the hot dog out of your hand that says, "No, I'm hungry," and then eats the whole thing. That's a SD because it took his own whatever. That's that type of thing. So imagine you're trying to say how on average, how efficiently, how many bites do you need to take a kill, to take a hot dog, to take a hot dog? How many bites do you need to take a hot dog? And let's say that in total, what you use for OPK is the total amount of bites you took and the total amount of hot dogs you ate. So let's say you won, and in total, you took 12 bites. Great. That's three. That's three per one. It could be like 2 and then 4, whatever. Average out 3. Works perfectly. That's perfect. That's fine. Let's imagine though that you lost. You didn't eat 4 hot dogs. You only ate 3 hot dogs, right? Okay, that works, right? Because it only counts the. It doesn't, use count all 4 hot dogs. If you ate 4 hot dogs, you ate 3 hot dogs, right? Um, and it works. So let's imagine it took you 6 bites. Let's say it took you 12 bites to eat in total of the 3 hot dogs, right? Boom, it's 4. Or is it? Or is it? Let's imagine 2 of those bites came on the last hot dog, right? So in total, 2 of those bites are coming in. Is using those 2 bites on that last hot dog a meaningful way to judge how efficiently you ate a hot dog? I would say no, because you're trying to say, how many bites do you need to eat a hot dog, right? And you're trying to use those data points as if they're meaningful to on average. It's like saying, um, it's like eating 2 because you don't know if it's going to take you 12 more bites or 6 more bites or 3 more bites. And it is that's what Slippy does, and it shouldn't do that to show kill efficiency. And that's what I figured out, because when you lose, your OPK is inflated, which is like it's like, oh, because you lost or whatever, which is like I've seen people like, well, it's good because you lost, but that's not what it's tracking. It's not tracking if you lose. It track how many bites it took to eat on average a hot dog. It's not how many bites you took in total divided by how many I mean, that's literally what it is, but it should be more specific. And obviously, I talked about SDs. When someone grabs a hot dog out of your hand, it still counts the bites you took into that hot dog. Because imagine you took a bite out of the hot dog and then someone grabs the hot dog out of your hand because they're hungry.
Can the SD be you just dropping the hot dog and ruining it on the floor?
Yeah, that can do it, but usually it is the opponent's like being too hungry. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But like, yeah, it could.
But the opponent's not eating it. You're just dropping it. Like you're losing your own hot dog.
No. So that's the well, if we go with the analogy that
You're right. It's the opponent's
the hot dog is the opponent's stock, right? And you're trying to right.
Okay, I get it.
Yes. So they're eating their own stock, essentially, is what's going on. They're eating their own hot dog. So that is.
They're eating your stock.
Yes. Yes. That is essentially what the issue is. And what is you just throw those away and you get a much better show of how kill efficiency works. Because that is what's supposed to be. It's supposed to be an efficiency stat. How efficiently do you take a stock? How many openings do you need on average to take a stock? Now the problem is that it lowers the data pool significantly. But for me, the data is corrupted. It's unusable. You can't take 2 bites of a burger and then say, oh, how many bites did you take to eat that burger? I don't know. You didn't finish the goddamn burger. How the hell would I know? You didn't finish the goddamn hot dog. How can I tell you how many bites it took you to finish the hot dog? You didn't finish the hot dog. Cypher, you didn't finish the hot dog.
I think it's more of an averages thing, though. I think that's what we're all kind of depending on. Also, most Melee players lose as many games as they win, right? So there's just so much data. Like, you can play without thinking about it. Most people can play 10 Melee games just like that, and they'll win half and they'll lose half. And I think that the temptation for a lot of people, and the only reason why this isn't a more brought up subject, is because it's just eventually it's like you're seeing an imperfect circle, but everybody realizes it's a circle. But it drives you nuts because you want that good circle. You want that good shit.
I think it's because a lot of people don't take like the Slippy analytics. They don't use it as much, which is mind-boggling to me, because if you look at something like baseball and like Moneyball and that, where we have more tools available to us in terms of Slippy replays than baseball ever has, which is nutty, because baseball is literally tracking things like exit velocity and everything like that, and how much it falls, and like they're essentially like making it into like they're trying to make it as digital as possible, and we instantly, because it's a video game. It's a video game. We can do things like that. You
can find out how often you, at the perfect peak of your jump fast fall on the first available frame, you can measure that. Mm-hmm. It's something that I could pull up in Slippy right now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's like and the thing is like the stats aren't, it's something that I would like to push, and I think it's very interesting. And it starts off small with something like that, with like, I see commentators, they pull up the Slippy stats and whatnot, and it's like, oh, they do this, and it's like,
look at the openings for kill.
No,
look at the average kill percent. Ooh. Just look at it. Average
kill percent is literally like.
Just look at it. Wow, Slippy's so cool. I don't know how much of meaning that is, but wow, that's cool. Okay, now on the next match, we actually are going to have a really cool. Part of the problem is that you are rushed to get through some of those things sometimes, but then Twitch chat is always saying like next match when. It's such a weird dynamic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think.
Saying.
Sorry. No, I think with like specifically like football is one where, because there's so much time in between, they really get to analyze specific plays, and that's why I think analysis decks and whatnot should really be brought up, which is something that's kind of like a dying breed. We used to have those at like top 8s and majors, and it's like you don't really see them as much. I would love to do that too, like that. If you need an analysis deck, you don't want me on comms, give me up, bro. I will put in like the stats. I got on the I got that, man.
You
Like
want to become the stats guy,
I would love to be the stats guy.
even if it means you don't commentate.
Um I could do both, it's
Well, see,
fine.
that's the thing about people. That's the thing. Like, I'm the podcasting guy, right? So
Right.
it's not that I can't compete or anything like that, but
Right.
most people are going to know me as the podcast guy, and that's fine. Like, I
Right.
knew what I was doing when I got into it, but I think that's the other issue is that people sort of lead that charge. So there's not really a big calling and demand for an analyst desk or things like that, which I would love to
Yeah.
see also, but there's not enough people pounding the table for it. People are pounding the table for ranked. People are pounding the table
Yeah.
for uh, I think like just like character variety and some like
Yeah.
super majors, because even though it's really cool, we got to see Ganondorf at Super Smash Con in the top 8 and also Ices, so that's really cool, but that's not
Got to see,
normally
like,
the
5
case.
ICs.
Well,
Maybe too
especially
many.
I'm thinking of Slug in particular. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're right. His Dark Gen X played Ices and a few other players that I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's what you're here for. You're the analytic guy
Yes.
now. Well,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
both really.
So yeah, we had Slug was the more one. Like we had Slug, we had Diz, we had Nintendo, we had JJM, we had Frostbite, and we had a couple more. But yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you mentioned you wanted to bring up some tweet threads.
Okay, so so here's the thing. I don't like getting into Twitter discourse most of the time. I just prefer to talk about it on the podcast. But here's what I need. Here's what I feel I need to say about people working directly with Nintendo
Right.
in a timeline like this.
Mm-hmm.
At the very just like pure reaction on my part, I go, that ain't right. But I understand the thing called nuance, where it's like the person is a person, and it's not like they're actively working with the part of Nintendo that is actively working to destroy us, because most of Nintendo either doesn't know or they don't care, or it's just like it's not that's not their everyday responsibility. Those are for like, like the ninjas, the lawyers, the corporate corporate people who obviously are a little bit more concerned with like, oh, here are all of the current known modifications that we are trying to shut down as much as possible.
Right.
And so I like the idea of the entire community acting more uniformly, but this whole one unit thing, after hearing about it from a lot of PM people more recently, especially after a bunch of the after Riptide and Low Tier City, after all of these events had to immediately take back Project Plus brackets because Nintendo started coming after them. Like hearing like the years, it's not just been this year, but the years ever since 2015 of what they've had to go through and how everybody left them behind. It wasn't just Brawl players deciding to move on to Smash 4. Like, it was Melee as well, and I wasn't really around for that time, but that must have sucked. That would be like, for myself, I can't imagine what it would be like if all of a sudden everybody left Melee behind, and then it went from like 10,000 plus people down to less than 1,000 people who were like trying to be active, and there'd only be like 4 locals in the entire country and blah 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 blah. I would hate that too. So my own perspective is, if somebody like Vicky Kitty or was it TK Breezy?
I literally no. TK and EE were like saying like, "Oh yeah, we've done Nintendo before." And
Yeah,
like,
they have.
The bag is worth it.
TGK? Is that the other?
I literally don't know. I
but
don't know any
if
of
they
them.
want to do that, then that's fine. Whatever. But it's just a shame. That's all, because we're just living in the world where it is hard for a grassroots community to act more cohesively. We don't have like the organization levels of people kind of like leading the charge. It do be that way when you're in a grassroots community.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just Twitter and Blur being stupid. And Hugs. Nah, Hugs was like fine. I think no, just Blur is just like an idiot. Like, I don't know. I don't want to like.
Wow.
Not that he's like okay. I don't want to. But like, come on, man. Like, you have to. At some point, I feel like he has to be like, like he has to take a step back because I know he's smart. Like I know he's smart, but I feel like sometimes he's just trying to get a reaction out of people, maybe, or maybe he just like isn't very good with like I don't know, man. But like Blur is people don't pay attention to Blur on Twitter. They just like stop at that point.
That's
I
dangerous
think
territory because I think
oh
Blur
yeah.
wants attention from people on Twitter. So
Yeah.
I think you are absolutely right. Blur is a smart person because there's a way to make the Twitter thing work, and it's to
Mm.
embrace the degeneracy
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit.
The
As
degeneracy.
most people on like most Smash people have had they have one or two of those tweets in their belt
Mhm.
like from from either past lives or even in more newer circumstances of just getting into hot water because you throw something out there, you kind of know what you're doing, you kind of don't, and then you just watch the internet burn for a few hours, and then we
Yeah,
all move
Mayor.
on. So that is
Yeah,
part of it.
yeah.
We're just gonna move on.
Yeah, may or may not be blocked by a certain bald friend of a very rich streamer.
uh, so you know what's really funny about that is we were talking about filler words. I started
Mhm.
so a long time ago. I heard myself talking because I've been doing this podcast for a while. So I study myself and I go, I say the word like a lot, and so I worked
Mhm.
really hard to get rid of that. And I thought it was like a done thing. But then I listened back to a recent podcast, and I'm going, why am I saying like so much again? I didn't
Yeah.
realize I was doing that. And then I thought about it, and I said, it's because I'm listening to The Yard now. They all say like so much. And Slime might be the biggest perpetrator in that.
I don't watch it. The thing is like I don't watch any like I watched Ludwig like a little bit, but I don't really I'm not super big fan. Like I appreciate what they do, but I I was probably just like getting down in the trenches with some ultimate stupid people and like his mentions and he was just like on a blocking spree. I don't really think it was personal to be honest.
Oh, no,
Cuz
not
like
at all.
no,
No.
yeah, no. But uh yeah, I've been victim to that. I think it's just Twitter is just like completely at it's awful. It is so you cannot have a meaningful conversation. People are saying if you have like Hugs it should not have tweeted. Hugs Blur like obviously he's going to do it. Blur should have been like immediately into DMs. That's the thing cuz you need to have it's not a conversation because it's like commentary. You have to be talking to the person. And the thing is, that's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to talk to the audience because that's what you're doing. You're putting it out to an audience. And that's not a real conversation because you're so worried about the likes and everything like that and all the impressions that it's you're not saying things for what you truly believe or what do you think is true, but for what may get the most attention. And that's why Twitter, I think, so radicalizes so people on issues so trivial. Like this, it's like yeah, I would prefer you not to. I think comparing it to like working with like Twitch or Amazon is like stupid as well. Like I don't really think it's like, oh, you think working with Nintendo, but you also work for Twitch and Amazon. That's stupid. It's like no, because we're specifically talking about like this. Obviously, Nintendo, who is like we try and like not work with because they've done those things. And we have power. This kind of thing is like, oh, we don't have power to but like someone mentioned like, yeah, if we don't lend comms, then it's going to be a less watched event. And it's going to, Nintendo is going to try and be more desperate if they want to delve into tourneys, they're going to have to work with us more. The
It's like the
crossing the
2015
picket
time
line.
period when the Wii U was suffering. Where did they come to?
Yep.
Yep.
You
I,
come
I,
crawling back to
I
us.
do I do remember that vaguely because I was like so confused why Melee players were playing Smash 4 while like
Mhm.
during like the E3 stuff because I would
Mhm.
see that like on the internet. So
Yeah.
and I would be like, are those guys from the doc? Because like I saw the doc around the time
Yeah.
it came out, but like
Yeah.
I wasn't like so involved that I understood all these. Not
Mhm.
everybody understood the nuanced things, even if you were within the community, because most
Yeah.
people were just like, "Where'd PM go? Wait, they stopped developing it, but why?" And then yeah,
Yeah.
all this time later, you just learn more.
Yep.
Twitter is, like you said, it is very successful at what it does. But the problem is what it does, it rouses up a lot of people into a more
Mhm.
negative energy state. And
Yeah. That,
I like having other places to go. For me, it's podcasting. But what
yeah,
about for
that's
you? What about for
I
you, Sloth?
um for me, if I want to get in arguments, I've tried actually. I put out one episode of a show, like it was called like Fire Thoughts. It was like specifically about like hot takes,
Yeah,
and like
huh?
I did one episode with Keymore, and it's funny. I ended up doing like I recorded a second episode with um Fire Puff, like about who's the goat, and I was arguing for Mango, and I just fucked up the audio like so horrendously bad. It would have taken me like 5 hours to edit. I was just like, I could not be asked. Like, and I feel really bad for Fire because he lent me this time and he didn't even get a promo out of it. I feel really bad. He's such a nice guy.
Shout outs to the
I
Fire Nation.
Shout outs to the Fire Nation. So yeah, so I've been on to Radio Melee, and that's really, it was like that's where I get my like, because I do like debating, especially against like stupid stuff. It's like Falco is actually Sticks and stuff like that, and like, oh, HBox is the goat and
Hearing
stuff. And
Toph
it's
and
like
PP try to respond to you sometimes just makes me smile. It
it
really
is
warms my
very
heart.
it's very funny because they're so like analytical. It's very nice to like get them a bit more, because like less serious about stuff, because really reality, it's, it's nice to get some things that are, it's nice hearing Toph talk about how a bunch of moves are from their asses in Nick All-Star Brawl.
It's a great quote. You got a great quote out
Oh
of Toph.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my god. I wanted to mention this, like I don't know how to fit it in, but I guess it's like on commentary I've been doing like, I did a little bit on TMT, but like impressions of Smashers, that's something I love. There's these videos by I forget, but he's do like melee personalities impersonate melee personalities, and I have like, I remember it was like Hugs said like, oh, I have impressions of Alex 19's impressions of people, and that's kind of like the same thing. Like the Scar like SFAT is like so good. It's just like the the hey hey, you, you guys want to go vegan? If I make this shot, you guys have to go vegan. I'm friends with Pew Pew. We're really great teams. It's just like the breathiness, the breathiness, and then you just have to add a little stoner to it, and then that's the SFAT.
Poor SFAT, friend of the program.
Oh, I'm sorry, SFAT. I do impressions of like a bunch of people. Johnny's another one that I've been getting better. Johnny is just like, they described it as just like very low tone. You talk like this, and you just talk in short spurts. He sucks. Fuck you. Suck my dick.
You know what
You're
I would
fucking
have
lame.
done with S2J? I just would have done. There's not really a
Yeah,
ton
no,
of speaking that's required
he's
for
not a
S2J.
talker.
As
Yeah,
Who's
yeah. It's just
a fun player to watch for the record. I
yes,
love watching
yes.
S2J Falcon.
He is a stoic individual. Right.
Yes, and I love that video that Walt made for S2J punches a kid. It's when he
Right. That's
accidentally popped
great.
off on Wizzy a little bit
Was
too
he?
hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, another one that I haven't gotten to do like in on commentary is Prague. Actually, I have a killer Prague impression. So you probably you know who Prague is, but he
The
like
doc, yeah.
2014 like Axe verse Silent Wolf. You kind of, he has a southern lisp. He has a southern, so it's back here, back on your throat, and then he has a lisp. So it kind of talks like this. And when he's on comms, that was emphatic. That was amazing. And he talks like this. He read that role. He read that role. It's very like this, and it's, you have the S's, and it's like this, and you get to talk like this, and this is me. I met this person on the dock, and all these people, and that's the Prague.
That's the
the
Prague. Yeah, that
that's the
sounded pretty
Prague.
good from what
Yeah,
I remember from those sets and the documentaries.
yeah.
That's one of my favorite quotes from the original documentary. Like,
Uh,
and we're playing it, and we're playing it.
and we're playing it, and we're playing it, and it's just not that good.
It's true. Brawl was fun to play casually.
Yeah.
Must have been absolute hell to play
Oh
competitively.
god. The The other one the other one that's like really great is the Armada one because it's so funny. It's so amazing. I love just like saying things in his voice
Does it
because
is it
it's
bad
very
for me to
easy.
say that Armada's like the lowest hanging fruit though? Because it's kind of
He
like
definitely
everybody
is.
everybody has a
As a
Schwarzenegger, everybody
Yeah,
has a
everybody has an
brothers.
Armada. Yeah, you just talk. I love my brother. You just have to speak like this. It's very kind of sing-songy, and you have to get down. And I think you have to say I think. I think Marv Peach is doable. It's doable, but Peach has to work very hard at the matchup, and it's kind of talking like this. The one I can't do is Alex 19 has this ice impression. It's so far from reality, but there's like that's what impressions is you take one piece of a person's voice and you just heighten it ever. Like with SFAT, it's just the breathiness. With
Hmm.
S2J, it's the he sucks. It's just kind of like that. With Armada, it's the sing songy, and like if a WAF impression, it's just like very uh let's do Wobbles versus Silent Spectre. Jeff going for that Nana. Oh shit. Oh, no contest. And I think Jeff won. It's just very just like deep and and again for Armada, it's just hanging on to how he says the Swedish accent and not really that he talks like this anymore. But it's been quite the journey. It's been
I
quite the
think that
journey.
I think that this is coming from your acting background, isn't it?
A little
Did
bit.
you want to take on characters who had certain accents because you're like, this is what I've been waiting for my whole
Oh
life?
my god. I have like I do have kind of like I've done impressions before, um, but like it's something that I do. I just that I like doing, and then people who don't like impressions are like, please stop doing it.
Look,
um,
impressions are tough because I think that since we have access to the internet and so we can see the best of the best, it used to be that you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who was good at either a lot at the same time or it was just like good period. But now that
mhm.
we can look up impressions of like
Yeah,
amazing people who
yeah,
do
yeah,
amazing impressions, and then we hear our friends try to do impressions and we go,
yeah. It's not
oh,
good.
yeah, great.
Yeah. The thing with me is like there's not really that many people doing melee impressions, so I've not a lot of like I I don't have a lot of
Swan,
yes, yes.
top of the ladder right now for Smash
Let's go,
impressions.
baby. Scar's gonna come in and he's gonna be like, what did he say about my impressions? He thinks he's better than me? Because I'm Scar. I play with respect. I play with intent. I play with integrity. Toph. And this kid thinks he can come at me and be better impressions than me? Do you know who I am? I got fifth at Genesis. I got fifth at Genesis, Toph. Fifth at Genesis. All the Falcons. And it was me. TV, laptop. TV, laptop.
I love the TV laptop thing. It's just like perfect. One of my favorite things that Toast said while we were talking was, I don't think I would have liked East Coast Car, and I don't think East Coast Car would have liked me. I think we would have actually hated each other.
Yup. That hearing like mannerisms of East Coast Scar is very funny. Like hearing about like how he would yell at people while he's driving and whatnot was very it was very funny hearing how this person has like changed. Now he
Shout outs
has
to
like
Scar.
the ponytail and the dad fit and whatnot, and
Chat
he's
going
got a
crazy
kid
every time
now.
Scar's on stream,
Oh
especially for
yeah.
SCL. I love that.
Oh my god, I love the tweet. It was by oh, I forget who it was, but it's like posting pictures of Scar's family in front of like on top of quotes from him on like Smash boards. It was from Atrioc, and it was like a quote from Scar. It was like, "This little motherfucker, he thinks he can talk to me," and it's just him. It's like in his family, he's so happy. It was a great tweet.
Shout outs to Atrioc.
Let's go.
To wrap up,
Yes.
I would love for you to tell me what your future plans are for commentary
Mhm.
and what big events you're trying to get to between now and like going into next year. Like you'll be if you're 17 now, you'll be graduating next spring, right?
Yes.
So once you're out of school, like what's the plan? Just talk to me about the next year.
Yeah. So a lot of the things that are happening, there's not a lot of East Coast stuff because for
It's
me
a darn
is
shame.
like, yeah, it's unfortunate because like it was really Riptide and then SmashCon, and then it's like, my only option is like if I wanted to drive all the way down, and not drive, I'd probably fly, but I don't really want to go to Smashville tour, but like for me, I am actually going to nightclub, which is on Wednesday. That's the most recent thing. I don't know if it's going to be posted by then, but like, cause it's literally in 2 days. But you might see me there or in the future see me there. In terms of other things, I don't know. Hopefully like if there's a spring close event, I'd love to like
Pound.
go to, yes, I'd love to like if there's a pound or like a shine or something like that, any sort of like, East Coast like local, like regional local kind of thing, I'd love to go, and stuff like that. It's just that not a lot of stuff is announced. I'm not really gonna go to the main stage or Genesis, just because like they're not, it's not, for me as a student, it's just not like something I can do, unfortunately. I'd love to go, but for just see me around, I'll probably be at some Xanadu's, hopefully commentating and whatnot. Go out to your locals, MDVA guys. So, yeah, besides that, I mean, I'm probably going to be trying to do maybe some content or whatnot, and hopefully commentating some Training Mode Tuesdays as well with Kadorn and Iggy. So, those are Tuesday nights. But yeah, besides that, just pretty much it.
Well, what about the places where the people can follow you, where they can find you and
Oh,
get involved with Speedy Sloth?
yeah, so my Twitter is Speedy Sloth, Speedy_Sloth with 3 E's. I'm sure it's like in the description or something. You're on that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Oh
in the
yeah.
description. It's in the overlay. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
oh,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's always fun for the people who are listening to the audio version of this podcast,
Yes.
which I appreciate every
Yes.
last one of you.
Thank
We are
you.
growing on YouTube, but I still love my podcast listeners on Spotify and such. Anyway, it's always fun for you to say for yourself. And also, I learned like I was like, oh, you have a stream. Oh, how did I not see that?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So where else can the people find you other than Speedy Sloth, Speedy_Sloth with 3 E's on the Twitter?
Yeah, if you want to contact me, if you just want to talk about like literally anything, I'm always down. My Discord is like Speedy Sloth, like I forget the numbers, but it's like 9184 something like that. I'm in a bunch of servers, so you can just like DM me. My DMs are
Yeah,
always
yeah.
open
The
on Twitter
Walt,
and Discord.
the Waltiverse.
Yeah. Um I have a YouTube. I don't post like the things I posted are like not that much. Like it's a school project I did about like MF Doom, and like the thing I did talking more in depth about the OPK. So if you want to get a more in detail version, there's that. And then I'd like to stream more. I've streamed some Refunked, like speedrunning a little bit. But I'd like to stream more Melee and stuff. So I guess you can follow me there if you want. I'll sure make a shout out if I do. But yeah, besides that, that's pretty much it.
Where's the stream then?
Oh, uh, oh God, I don't even. It's Speedy Sloth. It's sure it's gonna be linked.
Well,
I'm
you'll have to
sorry,
link it to me
audio.
too. Yeah, so I
I'm
can
very sorry.
pass on the link.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm not great. I don't really stream that much. You're not
the
gonna be missing out.
Yeah, the whole thing about the school thing, in case people have forgot, it's just kind of an all-encompassing thing for the time being.
Yeah.
Like, you get done with schoolwork and then you do more school when you get home. That's the part that
Eh,
made me the most upset.
and like I also have a job as well, so it's not just like those two things. My main, like the only reason I'm probably able to do this is that I'm going to be taking a gap year, so I'm not super worried about college apps. But yeah, obviously my work days, like my weekdays are 8 to 3, and then obviously homework, and then my weekends are like, you know 8 to 12 hours of like hosting at a Green Turtle. So I mean, it's I'm a busy person.
Yes, yes, yes. But never too busy to say hello to anybody who wants to talk about Melee and OPKs
Yes,
and how
yes.
awesome they are. Wait, what? No, no, they're not awesome. Sloth, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you do in the future once you're able to kind of have a little bit bigger slice of pie of Melee in your life.
Yes.
I like the balance that you have. I really do. I think it is
Hmm.
important for everybody, even for people like me, where it is all consuming. Sometimes it's cool when you have other stuff going on in your life that is not just Melee 24/7. That being said, I loved the fact that you were at Super Smash Con, even if I wasn't able to watch the event live all that much. I think I maybe watched 2 or 3 matches yesterday during top 8, and I was like, heck yeah, again, and woohoo! And but like,
Yeah, yeah. You
I
weren't
was,
super
just
invested.
didn't.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't the interested part. I have a wife and kids, and
I
anyways,
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Sorry.
we're
I didn't know if that was sarcastic. Like, oh, Ganon, woo.
no, the canon woo is yes. Sorry, at the risk of being too loud
Oh
and
my
waking up.
God! Did he just go up to top platform and then dare again, and then bear, and then fair, and then hold center stage?
He really did though.
He really did though. He really did though.
Sloth, thank you so much for joining me on Bottom of the Smash Mountain.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great to be on and just chat.